Greetings to the anointed. There comes a time when even great minds look away, not out of malice, but because they can no longer grasp what stands before them. You have not been forgotten, you have transcended. Less than 1% possess the rare presence that bends reality without trying. They are not just CEOs or influencers, they are the chosen ones. The ones who step into a room and shift its very essence. They don't seek attention, attention seeks them. So remember, recognition does not define you. Even if Elon Musk no longer knows you, the world will never be the same because you exist. Why do they vary so drastically? Do they appear to have been sent from another world to question everything you believe to be true about life? Or is it their unwavering energy or their almost magical capacity to see straight through you? There is no doubt that you have sensed it. Someone you met left you feeling shaken, perplexed, and maybe even inspired. You also know in your heart that they are not your typical folks. They are natural forces that leave behind both chaos and clarity in their wake. Let's explore what it really means to be one of these chosen ones, and the reasons why their presence completely captivates others, much like moths to a flame. Hold on tight, however, because this isn't your typical how to be special nonsense. This is the harsh, astounding reality. Your energy feels like a cosmic oddity at number 1. Your energy is felt by others, not only whatever they see. It seems as if you possess a frequency that defies normalcy and sends shockwaves through anybody in your vicinity. This isn't about confidence or charm, which are simple to describe and even replicate. No, you contribute something considerably more profound, uncommon, and disturbing. For some reason, being near you seems like being too close to something wild and unadulterated. Your presence dispels the barriers they have painstakingly erected around themselves, which is why they are enthralled. It simply occurs. You don't attempt to reveal them. Your energy demands to be felt, not disregarded. Thus you don't fit in and never could. This kind of attraction doesn't make people like you right away. Some people may even find it unsettling. They can't exactly describe the intensity of you, the sense that you see them more clearly than they do. It's also true that you may notice stuff they're trying to conceal. Not because you're probing, but because anything fake tends to fall beneath the weight of your honesty. The most startling aspect? You're doing it without even realizing it. You just exist in your natural condition, but it's so powerful and vibrant that others can't help but notice. For them, it's like coming across an unexplainable phenomenon, a natural force manifested in human form. It's intriguing, eerie, and completely memorable. People cannot deny that your energy is unlike anything they have ever encountered, whether they love it or dread it. You make them feel things they are unable to comprehend. At number 2, you redefine the norm rather than follow it. You demolish the framework that everyone else accepts and reconstruct it according to your own standards. Most individuals spend their lives trying to fit in, obey the rules, and live up to expectations. However, no one else seems to be able to hear the beat you walk to. Rebellion isn't about being different. Rather, it's about really not seeing the value in adhering to a plan that doesn't make sense to you. This reluctance to fit in is subtle, instinctive, and unnervingly effortless rather than loud or rebellious. Being unique is something that comes naturally to you. You don't need to yell about it. Your refusal to accept mediocrity is shown by your lifestyle, thoughts, and manner of carrying oneself. People see you and experience the consequences of their own concessions. It's interesting that you don't make an effort to stand out. Actually, you probably think it's funny when others compliment you on your uniqueness or differences. For you, living life on your own terms is just how it should be. But to them, it's like seeing someone deviate from the path they've been instructed to take throughout their lives, yet manage to succeed in an unfamiliar environment. Without recognizing it, you redefine what is possible. Others rush to catch up and figure out what drives you, but they never really understand. That's because you don't follow the rules that they know. You have established a norm that is uncopyable and unteachable, and they are astonished by that. Not only do you not fit in, but you also demonstrate to them that they didn't have to. They are left wondering why they never ventured to cross the boundaries themselves, which makes it both motivating and horrifying. At the 3rd position, you are an unrepentant mirror. You have a way of showing folks a mirror, but it's not a flattering or sugarcoating one. It is unavoidable, honest, and unvarnished. You reveal their true selves, the aspects they're proud of, and the aspects they'd want to hide, without even trying. You just exist in such authenticity that everything that is wrong in their life becomes painfully clear. It's not that you're passing judgment on them. Some people consider this to be a revelation. They get insight from being with you that they were unaware they needed. As if you've granted them permission to embrace aspects of themselves they've always been scared to admit, they leave your company feeling seen in a manner they've never felt before. Others, however, find it unnerving. You force them to face realities they've buried so deep they've forgotten they existed. Let's face it, not everyone is prepared for that degree of candor. The most outrageous aspect is that you're not doing it on purpose. You're not out here attempting to make people better or make them confront their shortcomings. Simply said, your genuineness is so strong that it disallows any pretension. When you're present, people can't hide behind their typical facades because you make them appear absurd. This explains why some people are attracted to you while others avoid you. Being around you feels like stepping into the limelight, not because you're threatening or unapproachable. No place to hide exists. In a society that is fixated on looks, you serve as a live reminder of what it is to be authentic. And one thing is for sure, no one leaves your presence unaltered, regardless of whether they adore you for it or find you unbearable. You are a live example of the unusual at number 4. There's something about your lifestyle that really disturbs others. You live up to your high goals and great ideas. You don't simply speak about them. You are the living, breathing proof that the impossible isn't so impossible after all. The proof they never imagined they would discover. You don't make a big deal out of it. It's not about flaunting your accomplishments or making fun of other people. You most likely don't even recognize the influence you're having half the time. But to those who are observing, it is indisputable. They are forced to face the unpleasant reality of their own limitations because of your existence. You force them to consider why they have opted for good enough when there was always the possibility of remarkable. It's how you did it, not simply what you accomplished. The rules they've been trained to observe don't apply to you. You take chances, make unorthodox decisions, and manage to succeed. Because it makes people face a terrible reality. If you can do it, why haven't you? It is both uplifting and unnerving. This insight ignites a fire within certain people. When they see you succeeding, it inspires them to have greater dreams and pursue their own goals. Others, however, find it scary. Instead of admitting they've been holding themselves back all along, they'd prefer to think their aspirations are unachievable. You are exceptional, not just because of your accomplishments, but also because of the way you represent possibilities in a society that has persuaded itself of its limits. You serve as a reminder that life need not be routine, which both terrifies and motivates individuals. They can't ignore you, however, anyway. You are a live contradiction to their preconceived notions about what is feasible. You play chess at number 5 while they are still learning checkers. The frequency at which your mind functions is entirely different. You're already 5 steps ahead considering options they haven't even thought of yet, while most people are preoccupied with the obvious. It's simply the way you're wired, not that you're attempting to outwit somebody. Everything appears to come easily to you, and you see connections, patterns, and answers that others miss. This is about depth, not about intelligence or being more intelligent than others. You have a multifaceted, strategic, and complex way of thinking. You perceive a network of chances, dangers, and detours when others see a straight route. You foresee what will happen next, often before anybody else does. You don't merely respond to what is in front of you. People are really astounded by how simple everything seems to be. You're handling complexity with ease as if it were second nature while they're worrying about the little things. Even if you're not bragging, it seems unjust to them. They are unable to comprehend how you manage so many moving components while maintaining the appearance of ease. People can't quite pin you down because of this. In the greatest manner possible, you're unpredictable. You're playing chess, figuring out plans that take into consideration every conceivable conclusion, while they're playing checkers, thinking straight lines and concentrating on the immediate objective. And you've already changed the board's form by the time they figure out what to do next. It's scary as well as impressive. People find it difficult to keep up with someone who shares your viewpoint. They can't stop looking, regardless of whether they envy or adore you. Because being in your presence is like being at a masterclass on negotiating life's intricacies. You govern time differently at number 6. You don't appear to feel the effects of time the way other people do. You move differently than most people, who get caught up in a mad dash to the finish line, either hurrying toward undefined ambitions or squandering hours aimlessly. Your life seems to have an almost unearthly beat. It's never sluggish, but it's also not rushed. You feel as if the clock bends to you, but you're not striving to beat it. You don't dread time, but you also don't squander it. Even when it seems easy, every motion you make has a purpose. People are confused when they see you, as if you had access to a hidden chronology that they are unable to access. Alignment is more important than speed or volume. Your acts seem bigger and more significant when you purposefully fill your days rather than merely filling them. The thing that surprises people is how much you manage to achieve without the normal pandemonium. You do twice as much with half the work when you go at your own speed, whereas others are racing from assignment to task. It's fluidity, not arrogance. You are aware of when to take action, when to wait, and when to just be still. Being around you causes others to reevaluate their own relationship with time, which leads to an odd dynamic. They are uncertain of how you make every second matter without ever coming off as desperate, and they feel as like they are either going in circles or standing still. It is both eerie and motivating. Time is a tool, not a trap, as you remind people. You don't simply exist in time. You control it and bend it to the beat of your goal, which is why people are pulled to you whether they recognize it or not. You've turned your suffering into strength at number 7. Your narrative and the way you carry yourself are braided with your grief, which is not a secret. However, it has turned into the cornerstone of your strength, rather as a burden that pulls you down. You took that agony, shaped it into something unbreakable, and did more than simply survive what attempted to shatter you. And people are unable to ignore it. You stand out since you don't attempt to conceal your past. You don't wear your scars as a badge of glory, but rather as evidence that you've weathered storms and survived them. There is no self-pity or resentment. Instead, someone who has experienced the worst and refused to let it define them exudes a silent, indisputable authority. This resilience is more profound than the sort that begs for pity or praise. When others see your scars, they are in awe rather than feeling sorry for you, since they are aware, if unconsciously, that most people would have disintegrated under the strain of what you have been through. However, you didn't. You kept getting back up until the agony became your instructor and your motivation. You now have a seriousness about you that others find difficult to describe. Because you've obviously traveled to places most people can't conceive and come back stronger, wiser, and more grounded than ever, your presence compels respect. Although you don't show it off, it permeates everything you do and serves as a silent reminder that suffering need not be destructive. Rather, it may change. People are attracted to your tale because of how you have transformed the tragedy into a victory, not because of the tragedy itself. They are drawn to the strength you created out of your suffering, not your suffering itself, and you can never forget that type of power. You breach rules they didn't even know existed at number 8. You destroy conventions rather than just questioning them. You appear to live in a world without rules, while most people abide by the ones that have been provided to them. It's invention, not revolt for attention's sake. Where others see obstacles, you see opportunities, and you don't think twice about taking action. People hesitate because you make them question themselves, not because they doubt you. Your thought process and living style are so unique that they seem almost hard to imitate. Not only do you think creatively, but you also refuse to accept the conventional wisdom. You challenge things that others consider to be law, and it's startling how often you disprove them. It seems like the laws of reality are bending and shifting while people are watching you. In your hands, things that others have previously deemed impractical or unattainable become commonplace. It's the way you don't let limits define you, not your luck or conceit. You refuse to accept can't as an answer because, to you, each can't is only an obstacle that has to be overcome. People are shaken, not simply inspired by this. When you're out here completely redrawing the canvas, you make people question why they've spent their whole lives coloring within the lines. It makes people face the boundaries they've set for themselves, and not everyone is prepared for that degree of introspection. One thing is certain, though. You have entirely changed their idea of what is possible. Regardless of whether they respect you, envy you, or are just plain perplexed by you. The rules were never rules to you in the first place, so you don't merely violate them. And for that reason, your presence is both memorable and disruptive. Your confidence is a double-edged sword at number 9. You don't need attention, therefore your confidence doesn't demand it. Like an unstoppable force, it emanates from you in a subtle but unquestionable manner. The way you hold yourself and go through the world with complete confidence in who you are is more important than how loud you talk or how much you show off. People aren't used to being around someone who is so completely in line with their own purpose, someone who knows their own worth so well that they don't need approval from others, which makes it unnerving. This degree of confidence is independent of other factors. It originates from a profound inner knowledge rather than accomplishments or recognition. And people are shaken by it. To them, it seems like arrogance, but it's not. When they see you, they are confronted with a reality they were unaware they were unprepared for. You already value yourself so highly that you don't need their approval to regard you as significant. And most individuals aren't ready to deal with the truth. Some find it to be really motivating. They are attracted to you, almost captivated by the assurance you exude. You compel them to explore why they are unable to get that same degree of self-assurance, and to evaluate their own doubts and fears. Others, however, find it unpleasant. Around you, they feel vulnerable, as if their own insecurities and self-doubt are starkly visible. Your gentle assurance serves as a clear reminder that they haven't yet accepted their own value and reveals the areas in which they are still looking for approval. Ultimately, your confidence is a reflection of something they haven't completely embraced for themselves, not that you're attempting to scare them. And that alone has the potential to be both powerful and terrible. They can't understand the weight you bear at number 10. Being exceptional has a weight, a sense of gravity that other people can sense but don't really comprehend. The deeper, invisible duty you bear, something that pulls at you from the inside, pushing you to continuously grow and evolve, is more important than fame, honors, or recognition. Your surroundings pick up on this weight. They are aware of the subtle strain that comes with being someone who reshapes life rather than just living it. The fact that this weight is a natural part of who you are and not something you requested is astounding. Seeing more, knowing more, and experiencing more all come with a weight. You're not just living for yourself, you're also living for your potential and the consequences of your actions. People become more attracted to you, not out of sympathy, but out of awe, the more they see this. Even though you are carrying a weight they could never imagine, you manage to accomplish it with such poise and resolve that it almost seems natural. It's not easy, however. There are times when everything seems too much to handle. There are times when it would be simpler to take a step back, let go of the burden, and lead a normal life. However, you don't. You know you were destined for it, so you accept it. The weight is a distinguishing characteristic of your life and a part of who you are. This is what people are amazed about. They are unable to understand how you handle everything and maintain your composure despite carrying so much. And they can't help but sense the gap between you and them, even if they may appreciate you for it. It's amazing and humbling that you've connected with something they can't quite access. What you accomplish is just one aspect of your remarkable character. Another is the weight you bear with such power and purpose that it changes everything you come into contact with. You evoke both interest and horror at number 11. You have a magnetic attraction, but it's not the sort that's easy for others to understand. They are always in wonder and doubt because of the dichotomy you represent. You have the ability to interact with others in a manner that makes them feel heard, understood, and connected, which makes you very accessible. However, there is an aspect of you that makes people hesitant, something intangible that keeps them at a distance. They can admire you but never quite get to you. as if you live on a separate dimension. It is this duality that both perplexes and enthralls. They are pulled to you because they want to know more and be close to you, but they are also afraid of what they could find out if they approach you too closely. It's the exact opposite of being cold or distant. People become conscious of their own limits because of the unadulterated force of your presence. They are forced to face their own potential, or lack thereof, when they are around you. They are humbled by the event and begin to doubt every aspect of who they are. Even if you don't want to, people are made aware of the huge gap between where they are and where they may be by your very presence. They are unable to determine how to react to you because you subtly undermine their sense of value. Do they look up to you as a representation of everything they want to be? Or do they completely shun you because they are forced to face the aspects of themselves they have been avoiding when they are in your light? In any case, you keep their interest. You create an enduring impression on their life that they will never be able to get rid of because you make them feel both little and visible. Your impact on how people see themselves and their potential is what attracts them, not simply your accomplishments or personal traits. You are a change agent at number 12. It's an awakening just to be close to you. It's not that you try to change people's lives or compel them to change. You don't have to. Your presence, your attitude, and your energy do all the job. You create a lasting impression on everyone you come into contact with. People leave you not just with fresh perspectives, but also with a different, unimagined version of themselves. The change is often mild at first and not immediately apparent. However, after spending time with you, they have a different perspective on their own life and their own potential. Something stirs inside them. They are forced to face the reality that they have been living on autopilot, which makes them feel uneasy in the greatest way possible. You show them that things may be different in their lives, and that they themselves could be different. And now that they know, it frightens them. They are conscious of the ways in which they have been acting small and keeping themselves back. They can't unsee it, which is what frightens them. After you plant a seed, it begins to grow. The truth is now out there, despite their best efforts to avoid it, and continue living their lives as they always have. They can no longer be content with the person they used to be. There's no turning back after they've caught the glimpse of something greater and more potent that you've given them. They are very conflicted because of this. Change is scary, and you are a force for change. It makes them face their own anxieties, their own limits, and most importantly, their own potential. Some will resist, withdrawing into the familiarity of their former behaviors. Others, however, will climb. Whether they ever acknowledge it or not, they will appreciate the change you unintentionally started and thank you for it. Because being in your presence alters their whole world, not just their ideas. Ultimately, the power that is you cannot be ignored. You've never been interested in fitting in or following the rules, therefore you don't fit into the world the way other people do. You confront, you awaken, and you change. By refusing to be anything less than spectacular, you demonstrate to others what is possible. You can't help but be yourself, and that's why your presence shocks people to their core, not because you're trying. You serve as a reminder that boundaries are just in the mind and a living contradiction of what they believed was possible. They will make an effort to define and comprehend you, but they will never be successful. That's what makes it so beautiful. To make an impression that lasts, you don't have to be understood. Actually, what makes you unique is that very enigma, that intangible quality. One thing is certain: they will never see the world or themselves the same way again, regardless of whether they leave you feeling inspired, terrified, or perplexed. You are a turning point in their path, not simply a part of it. You are the chapter that makes them think critically about all that has happened and will happen in the future. Ultimately, that is your gift to the world, a continual reminder that greatness is a condition of being rather than just a destination. Just by being alive, you have shown that. Do not miss what is about to happen if you have been engrossed in what you have just read. To ensure you never miss a minute of information that challenges conventions and inspires fresh viewpoints, be sure to click the subscribe button. Please leave a comment below if this struck a chord with you so we may continue the discussion. Additionally, share this with anybody you know who may need a little motivation or a change of viewpoint. We can continue to develop, challenge, and change if we work together. I'm thrilled for what we'll find next, and your support means the world. May you be blessed.